Learning more about dueling in this tutorial-like episode was rather fitting as we met the Kepper alien, known as Kawi Tel, who also has a thirst for knowledge. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today let's talk about episode 5 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush anime series. An overall decent episode of Go Rush that sees Yuhi's second duel of the series. Plus, a new alien is fully introduced. So let's start off by talking about that new alien, Kawi Tel. Now, my first thoughts on this character are rather positive. I think he's very interesting as a character, and I really like his design. Learning about his habit of always being wet stems from his exposure to the Earthdemar, as he tried to unlock its knowledge and secrets behind it. However, as a result of that, it caused him to have this forever thirst for answers. And that's the reason as to why he's always wet. The catchphrase, "I am parched," is him being thirsty for information, which goes kind of against the law of the real-life Kepper from Japanese folklore, as they are said to have profound knowledge thanks to the bowl of water on their head. So Kawi Tel, being the Kepper alien, but wanting and thirsting for knowledge, does kind of offer up a slight twist that could spring forth some interesting segments. Also, can we talk about that deal that was made between Yuhi and Kawi Tel with this duel stipulation? If Yuhi loses, then he would have been locked up and experimented on. That was kind of creepy, as it does make you wonder if Kawi Tel would kidnap somebody else if his curiosity led him to do so. I kind of think he's a bit too smart to do that, because if he were to just kidnap random people for that reason, it could make MIK kind of suspicious of him. The show continues its showcasing of Kepper lore by giving Kawi Tel more traits like having cucumbers in a jar scattered around his living quarters. Plus, they make the Earthdemar into a slightly rude joke when you link it to Japanese yokai lore / myth, when surrounding the fact that a yokai loves taking your Shirumaka? Which basically is a orb-like object located in your butt. And what do we see when Yuhi first loses to Kawi Tel? That's right, him on the floor with his backside pointing up towards the sky. So is the Earthdemar Yuhi's Shikumarada? Is it a joke? Or is it still something very important within the series? Now personally, I think the Earthdemar is still going to be an important factor within Go Rush. After all, we see Zuwaijo appearing, of all things, within this episode and stealing the Earthdemar before Yuhi can drink it back into his body. Plus, we see a silhouette forming once it's released out of its little capsule. Now this does look a little bit like Yuhi, which makes sense if it came from his backside. But at the same time, looking at it closely, it's not a solid 100% look-alike when you look at the hairstyle, because it does have some slight differences between Yuhi's hair and the silhouettes, which does intrigue me and make me think of a certain theory that I might bring later on. Also, Yuhi stated that since his Earthdemar was stolen, then his dueling skills have decreased, which makes me think this object could be a spirit of some sort. Maybe a spirit of a once legendary duelist, giving reason as to why Zuaijo wants it. If the fact is, having this Earthdemar or this spirit inside your body makes you a better duelist, then again, gives reason as to why Zuaijo wants it, and why Yuhi's dueling skills were better when he had it inside of him. Lastly, on Kawi Tel's character, I love the fact that he was ironing clothes, but they never really get dry, because he's constantly dripping water on them all the time. That gave me a genuine chuckle. Okay, so let's move on to Yuhi, as this episode gave me some positives for his character. I really liked how the show has been building the connection / bond between Yuhi and the 8.88 million people within Udius's ship. Seeing them transform into the duel disc and seeing how Yuhi boosted their morale during the duel was so sweet and heartwarming, and showed how they each care about one another and how both parties involved want the other to succeed. There were a couple of times throughout this episode as well that I thought Yuhi looked kinda cool, which took me by surprise a little bit. I guess my only issue relating to Yuhi's character from this episode was his deck. I still don't like the design of his monsters. And like I've said before, Joint Tech Rex doesn't look cool. It doesn't look menacing. It just looks babyish. And I have mentioned this before, but it looks like a budget knockoff version of Power Tool Dragon. However, to Joint Tech Rex's credit, I thought his skill was rather decent. It's not a great monster in my opinion, but hopefully he gets an upgrade later on. Now while I'm mentioning Power Tool Dragon, I do get slight Leo vibes from Yuhi's character, as both have very similar personalities and quirks when you compare the two characters together. Also, on the subject of monsters, Reverse Ride looked awesome. I really like this monster's skill and his design just looks so cool. Plus his name and appearance fits perfectly in theme with the Kepper. Yuumu, that's a nice outfit that you showed at the start of the episode. But the real thing I want to talk about when it comes to this character was the fact that she's been, for the most part, the teacher / explainer of the card game, telling Udius how dueling mechanics work. And this makes a lot of sense because of the fact that we know her as the best duelist currently within the show. Also, I loved how when Joint Tech Rex appeared, Yuumu smiled mischievously, as if she knew what was going to happen before it actually occurred, because she was observing the duel, which again gives credit to her knowledge of the game and her skills as a duelist. Yeah, positivity from Yuumu. And finally, Udius. This goofball uses I-beam on a washing machine. That thing stood no chance. Now, Udius managed to make me feel a range of different emotions within this episode. We had comedy from that opening I-beam and washing machine segment. We had confusion, because despite the fact all the things that happened last episode, Udius still considers Chubutaro as his eternal comrade / friend. Again, I find Udius too friendly in that regard, but maybe there's more to it, because Udius manages to see that Kawitel has a liking for Yuhi. Now if this is the case, maybe, just maybe, Udius has the ability to see the hearts of other people, and he likes Chubutaro because deep down he's a nice guy, but at the moment is being manipulated by Zuwaijo. But then confusion struck once again, as Udius seemed happy about Kawitel wanting to lock Yuhi up for research purposes. So all this confusion that Udius made me feel within the episode had me feeling like Udius while he was watching for laundry. And I felt intrigued by Udius. After all, he'd just seen Zuwaijo. And yes, I would have liked to have seen more of a shocked reaction from Udius. After all, he's just found out that his friend is alive. And the act of leaving Zuwaijo behind in that mission, we saw, messed Udius up mentally. My intrigue arises from the question, will Udius tell MIK about Zuwaijo? Will he even tell Yuhi and Yuumu about Zuwaijo? Or will Udius just go off on his own to confront Zuwaijo and end up getting his first defeat in a duel? So overall, I thought this was a good episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. A lot of interesting and fine details were presented, which helped elevate the episode and my enjoyment of it. I haven't even mentioned seeing how Manabu conducted his interrogation. That was weird and wacky, but he got the job done with his kitty cat. And of course, we see M-Girl returning as well. And I think now she's appeared in every single episode of 7 so far, which adds to the intriguement of who is she? What is her role going to be within the series? Because she's in the opening, she's in the ending, and she's been in every single episode. So many things introduced and a lot of questions that still need answering. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for this series. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I love to hear your thoughts on it, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll be seeing you next time. Have a great day. Arigato, matane, goodbye.